Part 50. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 491. Wang Fuegui finally revealed his strength. At this moment, the power exuded from him were astonishingly terrifying, not even weaker than Zhang Magu. When everyone at the scene saw this, their jaws dropped and they looked at Wang Fuegui in astonishment. In their eyes, Wang Fuegui is just a novice at the master level. They probably sent him to go through the motions because his family had a quota for the competition. But now, everyone realized that this guy with a playful smile and a suana was actually so powerful. So strong. Is he also in the early stage of Shen sect? That's right. This little rookie has been hiding his strength before. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Diamond, you call this a rookie? Don't you blush? If he is a rookie, who are we? The energy he burst out doesn't seem to be ordinary chi. Could it be that he has practiced special internal skills and mental methods, so his chi is different from ours? Everyone at the scene was stunned. After reacting, they began to guess why the martial arts practiced by Wang Fuegui produced different infuriating energy. Aura. At this moment, on the high seat, the 10 powerful people saw at first glance that the energy used by Wang Fuegui was spiritual energy, and their expressions changed drastically. Among them, Wang Kongyun, the leader of the Tianji sect, stroked his beard and smiled softly. I haven't seen a cultivator for a long time. I didn't expect this young man to actually develop spiritual energy. Looking at the fluctuations of spiritual energy on his body, he must not have set foot on foundation building, but he should be able to compete with the early stage of Shen zone. Next to him, there was an old monk wearing a kapok cassock, with a face full of admiration, and he said, in the age of the end of the Dharma, it is really not easy to practice to this level. Regarding the cultivation system, everyone, does anyone know what realm a cultivator in the foundation building realm is equivalent to an ancient warrior? The old monk suddenly asked curiously. This old monk is the abbot of Mount Bodhi. He is a member of the Tong family and his dharma name is Yuan Tong. Monk Yuan Tong rarely moves around the secular world, and has only recently become active in the field of vision of various sects. He is older than the others on the throne, and his strength is unfathomable, so he is more respectful to him due to these backgrounds. Hearing Monk Yuan Tong's question, Wang Kongyun smiled softly and said, I really don't know these things. In the age of Dharma ending, cultivators almost don't exist anymore. However, Brother Fenjiun should know something about it. After all, Suwuji, who shocked the world for more than 100 years, has given you guidance. After careful calculation, he should be your master. Ximen Fenjiun showed a gentle smile and answered, in the foundation building stage, you can kill the land martial gods. No matter how amazing the land martial gods are, they can't compete with the cultivators in the foundation building stage. Suwuji is kind to you. This is an indisputable fact and you cannot deny it. Wang Kongyun suddenly realized, stroking his beard and said, I heard that in the cultivation system, as long as the spiritual energy is sufficient, the advancement is very fast. A cultivator with ordinary talent can reach the 9th level of Qi training in 3 to 5 years, and can build a foundation in less than 10 years. Ximen Fenjiun continued, ordinary cultivators at the 9th level of Qi training, using all their means, can be as good as those in the early stage of Shen zone. Shi Hehan smiled sarcastically, but after Suwuji disappeared, you led people into Kunlun, occupied the magpie's nest, and occupied Kunlun mountain. When Shi Hehan next to him saw this, he sneered, Ximen Fenjiun, you are indeed not qualified to be Suwuji's disciple. In the cultivation system, if you don't enter the foundation building, you will always be immortal. From the first level of Qi training to the 9th level of Qi training, there is basically not much difference from the ancient martial arts system. However, realm doesn't mean anything. A talented cultivator who has practiced Qi at the 9th level can kill someone in the middle stage of the Shen section using some means. They can even kill someone in the late stage of the Shen section. Wang Kongyun smiled bitterly and said, in this way, the ancient martial arts system is not worth mentioning compared with the cultivation system. Although I don't know Su Wuzi, I also know that he is a great man. He has a world of his own in his heart. Even though his strength is unrivaled, he has not done anything harmful to the world. I, Shi Hehan, admire him. Haha, you are also the first person in the ancient martial arts world to speak of betrayal in such a fresh and refined way, Shi Hehan said with a sarcastic smile, his eyes full of disdain. Killable. The law of the jungle remains unchanged, and if it were you, you would do the same thing. Original. However, people from the Ximen family actually sent killers to intercept and kill Shi Jushin, which made Shi Hehan unable to sit still. As soon as you enter the foundation building, it is equivalent to opening a new world. It is a world of difference. Ximen Fenjian said with a smile, one is cultivating immortality and the other is practicing martial arts. There is no comparison at all. He. Brother Wang thinks highly of me too much. I only got along with Suwuji for a short time, so how can I be qualified to be his apprentice? Don't make such jokes again unexpectedly, Ximen Fenjian said, with a bit of dissatisfaction in his tone. He seemed to care that someone mentioned him and Suwuji together. He couldn't figure out the details of the Ximen family, so he didn't want to take the initiative to provoke the Ximen family. Ximen Fenjian shook his head and said, the cultivation system is not as powerful as the legend says, but the ancient martial arts system can still compete with it. After establishing the foundation, you can kill land martial gods. However, the realm of land martial gods is the pinnacle of the ancient martial arts system. Even those with extraordinary talents will take 100 or 200 years to reach it. I see. Ximen Fenjian smiled and then said, don't you want to know what level of ancient martial arts the foundation establishment is equivalent to? I have heard Suwuji mention this before. But, as I said before, if you don't join the foundation building, you will not join the stream after all. Wang Kongyun continued, as for Suwuji, he is a cultivator. It is said that he has not only reached the Danji stage, but also reached the nascent soul realm. As for whether he succeeded or failed, no one knows. Brother Fenjian, can you help us clarify our doubts about the combat effectiveness of cultivators in the foundation building stage? Wang Kongyun said with a smile. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. This is how things are in the world. The Su family that lost Suwuji more than 100 years ago is destined to be unable to defend Kunlun. Ha ha ha, you ungrateful villain, Ximen Fenjian, am I right? Shi Hehan said with raised eyebrows. If Shi Jushin encounters an accident, then he will be in trouble. How can Shi Hehan give Ximen Fenjian a good look? How does the strength of cultivators who have entered the foundation building realm compare to the land warrior gods? Wang Kongyun asked curiously. However, Ximen Fenjian's reaction was unexpected. He was not angry, but smiled calmly, even if I don't occupy it, other forces will do so. I don't feel that I am ashamed of the Su family. The background of several big forces around him also knew what happened back then, and they all looked at Ximen Fenjian with a hint of alienation in their eyes. Now that Shi Xian is dead, and Shi Xian is not his biological grandson, that is to say, he only has one descendant, Shi Jushin. Shi Hehan looked at Ximen Fenjian and continued, although you don't admit it, you did receive guidance from Suwuji. It is also because of this that your strength will advance by leaps and bounds, becoming the strongest in the ancient martial arts world, and creating the huge Ximen family. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 492. Indeed. Ximen Fenjian said with a smile, also, there is another point. Cultivators can gain endless longevity, but ancient warriors cannot. In 3 to 500 years, their energy and blood will dry up and die from the ravages of time. If not, why would there be so many people flocking to cultivation? Ximan Fengyun asked rhetorically. Brother Fengyun. Wang Kongyun smiled and said, you can't just talk about the good side, cultivation also has its disadvantages. As far as I know, this world does not allow cultivators in the realm of pill formation to appear. Once a cultivator steps into the realm of alchemy, his body will appear ominous, and he will be in pain. In the end, there are only two ways, either to die, or to leave the sky like the pre-Qin Chi practitioners. Wang Kongyun continued, as for the method of leaving, Brother Fengyun must know it very well, because the ancient Starry Sky Road is in your Kunlun Mountains. Good. Ximan Fengyun nodded and said, the ancient Starry Sky Road is indeed in Kunlun. This is why Suwaji chose to settle in Kunlun after becoming famous. He explored and examined the ancient road in the Starry Sky countless times, but in the end he did not step forward. Ximan Fengyun sighed and said, he doesn't know what the scene is at the other end of the Starry Sky ancient road. Even as powerful as he is also timid. Brother Fengyun, Suwazi has disappeared for more than 100 years. Do you really have no news about him? Wang Kongyun asked tentatively. I do not know. Ximan Fengyun shook his head and smiled, however, I hope he is dead. The Ximan family massacred the Su family and occupied Kunlun. If Suwaji showed up alive, would there be a way for our Ximan family to survive? Ximan Fengyun said with a smile. There was no fear in his expression, and he seemed to be telling something that had nothing to do with him. Haha, I don't think so. Suwaji is the best in the past and present. Maybe he is dormant somewhere right now. One day the king will return and kill the bad guys with his own hands. Shi Hahan said with a playful smile, that scene, haha, it makes me feel comfortable just thinking about it, it's very satisfying. Ximan Fengyun's face remained calm, he just shook his head and did not argue too much with Shi Hahan. Now that we've started chatting, Brother Fengyun, can you answer another question for me? Before Ximan Fengyun could answer, Wang Kongyun asked directly, Brother Fengyun, is it also because of the Starry Sky ancient road that you occupied Kunlun Mountain? Ximan Fengyun didn't answer the question and said with a smile, only cultivators who have formed a pill or above can enter the Starry Sky ancient road. Ordinary people cannot approach it, otherwise they will definitely die. Then are you a cultivator? Wang Kongyun asked bluntly. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, the eyes of several important figures at the scene fell on Ximan Fengyun, wanting to hear his answer. Everyone, let's watch the game. Ximan Fengyun did not answer, but changed the subject and said, that little guy named Wang Fugui is quite interesting. He has actually mastered the method of cultivation and has already reached the 9th level of Qi training. Seeing that Ximan Fengyun had no intention of answering, everyone did not ask any more questions, but they already had guesses in their minds. The people Suwaji had pointed out could shake up everyone in one battle, so how could they be minor players? However, since Ximan Fengyun doesn't want to say anything, if he continues to ask, he won't be able to find out the reason. Is it the 9th level of Qi training? If you give him time and enough spiritual energy, won't he be able to build a foundation soon and crush the land martial god? At this time, a person on the high seat looked at Wang Fugui, eyes full of surprise. Building a foundation is not that easy. Some cultivators will never be able to build a foundation in their lifetime. This is a very important hurdle. In an instant. The next moment, there was a loud noise that resounded through the sky, and at the same time, a terrifying sonic energy crushed Wang Fugui away. Zhang Magu paused for dozens of seconds before he came back to his senses. He then smiled happily and said, haha, it turns out you are also a master. You are indeed my good brother. I saw you right. Brother Fugui, we can spar between you and me, but we must preserve our strength. There is still a battle to come, so we cannot fight for a long time. Zhang Mu stretched his muscles with the drum and said with a high-spirited smile, "Come on, brother Fugui, don't mix any emotions, let's have a hearty fight." The suana in Wang Fugui's hand seemed to be no longer a suana, but a sharp sword with a cold air, exuding a cold sword intent that made people feel heart-stopping. The other party just said that he was willing to give up his promotion spot to him. Now that he proposed a real fight, it was definitely not for the purpose of deciding the outcome, but just a friendly discussion. "Break it for me." "Stop it, brother, we don't need to explain so much between us." Zhang Magu's whole body's true energy surged, especially in his palms. The true energy seemed to have substance. The sound just now was for the sky to open, and the next one was, to split the earth. Zhang Magu was shocked, and then he became serious. He put the big animal skin drum on his shoulder and suddenly slapped the drum head with his palm. Zhang Magu said with a hearty smile, "Well, if you can beat my drum beats 3 times, it will prove that I am not your opponent. In this competition, you advance, and I will play in the resurrection match." He showed no mercy and no longer acted like playing the suana. Instead, he held the royal suana and rushed directly towards Zhang Magu. "Haha, I just counted it once. Brother Fugui, the sound of my drum is increasing step by step, each sound getting stronger than the last. You have to be careful next time." Ximen Fenjiun responded with a smile, then remembered something, and continued, "According to what the old sect leader of Tianji sect said, after the 100 sects martial arts competition, the ancient martial arts world will undergo a huge change. Such a strong sword spirit, I have never seen it in my life. Brother Fugui, you are a worthy opponent, ha ha ha." At this time, Zhang Magu reminded him, and then his expression became serious. He rose into the air and opened up to Wang Fugui. Collapse. Although they had not known each other for a long time, Wang Fugui probably recognized Zhang Magu's character. "I have a vague feeling that maybe the ancient martial arts system is about to rise. It may be a new era by then. If the ancient martial arts is cultivated to the highest level, it may not be unable to compete with cultivators," Ximen Fenjiun guessed. When everyone heard this, they all became excited. Even Shi Hehan, who had a problem with Ximen Fenjiun, was excited and looked forward to the changes in the ancient martial arts world. Good. Wang Fugui was fearless. He held the royal suana and performed the reincarnation sword technique, breaking the sound wave energy in an instant. Good. Brother Mugu, I didn't mean to hide it from you, but I just haven't had time yet. Wang Fugui felt slightly embarrassed. Immediately afterwards. Sword intention. Then. On the middle stage. If Wang Fugui acted coyly, it would look pretentious. Wang Fugui had already exposed his strength. He stood opposite Zhang Magu. Under the strong power, his clothes rustled, and he looked completely different from his previous image. Brother Fugui, you. Okay, Wang Fugui agreed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 493. Collapse. After the words fell, Zhang Magu's palm suddenly lay on the animal skin drum. Just like last time, a terrifying sound wave swept the entire place instantly. Only. This time the sonic air wave was several times more powerful than the last time, and even the floor of the arena was shaking slightly. Break. Wang Fugui felt threatened, so he naturally did not dare to hide his clumsiness. He gritted his teeth and replaced the long sword with a suana, and suddenly swung it. The next second, there was a terrifying sword intent, mixed with spiritual energy, slashing into the air. Boom! The sword intent collided with the sound wave, and a terrifying battle aftermath rippled around. The weaker ones in the audience were even knocked to the ground, and their faces turned pale. When the light from the scene dissipated, everyone moved their eyes to look over and found that Wang Fuegui took a few steps back, but finally took Zhang Magu's second attack. Haha. Okay, okay. Zhang Magu showed a satisfied look and said with a hearty smile, Brother Fuegui, my third blow is called Duan Shui. It is more than 10 times more powerful than the second one. If you catch this blow, I will lose willingly. Cut off the water. After the words fell, Zhang Magu took action directly and followed the same pattern, beating the animal skin drum again. Collapse. This sound was simply deafening. The terrifying sound waves rolled up the floor of the arena and pressed towards Wang Fuegui with great force. Reincarnation swordsmanship. Wang Fuegui holds the royal suana in his left hand, and the billowing sword intent is continuous. In an instant, the majestic sword intention formed a gas sword in mid-air, with overwhelming power. Break it for me. Wang Fuegui shouted loudly, and with a thought in his mind, the illusory long sword formed by his sword intention was slashed out. Boom. This time, Wang Fuegui used all his strength and slashed out with his sword, even the sunlight dimmed. However, such terrifying power did not immediately destroy the sonic air wave produced by Zhang Magu, and the two sides were in a stalemate. About 10 seconds later, Wang Fuegui exerted force again, and the illusory sword energy was able to cut through the sound wave. Even with this sword, even the arena was split in half, and the crack as big as a finger was very conspicuous. So strong. Zhang Mu's drum thumped, and he took a few steps back to stand still. He couldn't help but marvel. As for Wang Fuegui, he didn't feel well either. He was breathing heavily, obviously he had been exhausted just now. Brother Mugu, I accept the concession. After a short rest, Wang Fuegui said with his fists in hand. Ha. Zhang Magu smiled softly and said, Brother Fuegui, you won. I am not unjust for losing to you. Your sword intention is really powerful. I am afraid that in this 100-sex competition, your strength will be at least among the top 5. Brother Magu, you are also very strong. I can feel it. After your third blow, you can hit another sonic wave. Wang Fuegui smiled bitterly and said, I'm going step by step. Catching your 3 blows is already my limit. If I continue to fight, I'm afraid I will be the loser. So, if you win this game, I should be the one to play in the rematch, Wang Fuegui said. Haha, if you lose, you lose. Zhang Magu smiled softly, then walked up to Wang Fuegui and whispered, Brother Fuegui, I am participating in the 100-sex martial arts competition this time, not to win the championship, but to kill someone in public on the ring and avenge my sister. That man has already given up. I'm going to wait for him in the waiting area, so please don't cause any trouble for me, Zhang Magu said seriously. Damn it, Brother Magu, who offended you? Tell me, and we'll do it together. Wang Fuegui gritted his teeth. I want to avenge my sister with my own hands, so please leave this matter alone. Zhang Magu smiled, then put his arm around Wang Fuegui's shoulders and said, the Easter match will be held tomorrow. Come on, let's go have a drink. Good. Wang Fuegui naturally agreed and followed Zhang Magu down the ring. The 5th track, the winner, the Liu family of Kyoto, Wang Fuegui. The on-site referee announced the result immediately. Cultivators can live forever. Brother, you read that right. I also saw that he had 2 identical arms. Just now I thought that I went to the club too much and was weak, which made my eyesight even worse. Su Yang smiled softly and said, the most amazing thing about you is that you are self-aware. Zhang Magu frowned slightly and was wary of Su Yang, but did not respond. But soon, their attention was focused on Wang Fuegui's arm, and they started talking about it. Zhang Magu nodded, then his eyes were scarlet, and he gritted his teeth and said, This enemy of mine forcibly occupied my sister, and then killed her to silence her. He is, Ximen Huxiao. To sum up, whoever owns the territory decides. After all, this is Wudane's territory, and it is full of unknowns for them. Brother Mugu, this is Su Yang, young Master Su. He is my good brother. He is closer than a real brother. He can wear the same pair of pants. Awesome. Wang Fugui wanted to watch Su Yang play, so the two of them did not go, but stood in front of Su Yang. Young Master Su, how awesome was I just now, Wang Fugui said as if showing off. Even without using Taishan's magical power, Shi Jushin could defeat the early stage of Shenzong. Especially after knowing that Wang Fugui was a cultivator, those antique-level figures could not sit still. Damn it, why does Wang Fugui have two left arms? Am I wrong? Wang Fugui smiled softly and said, you can treat him the same way you treat me. So strong, I didn't expect this Wang Fugui to have such terrifying strength. Even people at the level of Shi Hehan, Abbot Yuantong, and Ximen Fenjiun still cannot do anything out of line. This brother is indeed merciful, otherwise you would not be his opponent. However, Wang Fugui's promotion was unexpected by everyone. For a time, all the major forces in the ancient martial arts world were investigating Wang Fugui's background. If these people go to a Zen place or a famous mountain such as Bodhi Mountain, other people will also be afraid of it except for the heritage of the famous mountain. Wang Fugui and Zhang Magu walked down from the ring, originally going to drink. At the same time. Certainly. But. I don't know, but I'm sure that if you give him a good sword, his strength will be greatly increased. But this is Wudang ancient town, and no one dares to mess around. It was normal for a true genius to fight across levels. In addition, Shi Jushin's promotion was already a certainty, so it didn't cause a sensation. The battle in the other arena also ended. There was no doubt that Shi Jushin won and advanced directly. Good. Su Yang looked at Zhang Magu and asked doubtfully, I heard the conversation you had with Wang Fugui just now. Who is your enemy? Can you tell me who your enemy is? His sword intention is indeed powerful and chilling, but why doesn't he use a sword instead of a suana as a weapon? They were buried up to their necks in loess, so they naturally had ideas about the cultivation system, hoping to gain endless longevity through it. The people below, after seeing Wang Fugui's strength, were convinced of Wang Fugui. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 494. Ximen Tiger Roar. Su Yang frowned slightly, the second young master of the Kunlun Ximen family, Ximen Huxiao. Zhang Magu nodded and said coldly, about 2 years ago, Ximen Huxiao and my sister went to the same school. Many of the young talents in the ancient martial arts world hide their identity and strength to enter the city and experience urban life. Zhang Magu continued, my sister has been involved in Tianzone for many years. When she reaches the bottleneck period, she wants to relax and change the environment to find opportunities for breakthrough. So, she went to a university in Xingan province, pretending to be an ordinary person, living and studying. Who knew, Ximen Huxiao was also in that university. Zhang Magu continued, Brother Su Yang, although I am tall and thick, I have a rugged appearance, but my sister is pretty and lovely, with a beautiful face. She attracted the attention of many students when she first arrived at school, and she was also regarded as she is the school beauty, and there are many people pursuing her, and Ximen Huxiao is one of them. At the beginning, he didn't know my sister's identity, so he showed off his behavior, saying that he was a hero saving the beauty. He kept using all kinds of tricks, but my sister didn't pay any attention to it. But Ximen Huxiao is not angry. He pursues my sister persistently and solves a lot of troubles for my sister. Even if my sister clearly rejects him, he still stalks me. He is a complete licker. It wasn't until later that Ximen Huixiao found out my sister's identity. She is the young lady of the Zhang family in Fenyang City. Having said this, Zhang Magu suppressed the anger in his heart and gritted his teeth and said, "The relationship between our Zhang family and the Ximen family has never been good. It can even be said to be extremely tense. Before the Ximen family appeared, our Zhang family was the #1 family in the ancient martial arts world. Even now, the Zhang family and the Ximen family are on equal terms." Zhang Magu continued, "There are sects and aristocratic families in the ancient martial arts world. Many years ago, the Ximen family met with the heads of the major aristocratic families and wanted to unify the ancient martial arts families. At that time, many aristocratic families, forced by the pressure of the Ximen family, had no choice but to compromise and express that they wanted to be affiliated with the Ximen family. However, my grandfather refused. We are not fools. Who wants to be someone else's affiliated family?" Zhang Magu sneered. After my grandfather refused, a large number of aristocratic families in the ancient martial arts world stood behind my grandfather and wanted to advance and retreat with my grandfather. At this point, the Ximen family's desire to unify the aristocratic families was completely shattered. Because of this incident, our Zhang family and the Ximen family have developed a grudge, and there has always been constant friction. Zhang Magu gritted his teeth and said, "After Ximen Huixiao learned about my sister's identity, he probably thought that he had been the Zhang family's dog licker for so long, so he became angry and challenged my sister in public. In our Zhang family, the strongest tool is drums. Men play big drums and women play waist drums. My sister is the leader in waist drums. Originally, with her strength, Ximen Huixiao was no match for her." Zhang Magu said angrily, "But this bitch Ximen Huixiao actually drugged my sister. Many people saw that fight. Before the fight even started, my sister lost her footing and was defeated and seriously injured. After the duel, my sister contacted her family, and my grandfather sent people to Xingan province non-stop to take her home." Zhang Magu was furious, with veins popping up on his forehead. "However, when we arrived at the agreed place, I couldn't find my sister. Afterwards, my grandfather sent people to search Xingan province upside down, but they couldn't find my sister's whereabouts. My sister has always kept aloof from the world and never offended anyone in school. In addition, she is at the pinnacle of Tianzong. Even if she is injured, she is not something ordinary people can deal with." Zhang Magu said coldly, "Combining all the above, Ximen Huixiao must have taken away my sister and occupied her. 2 years have passed, and my sister must have died in the hands of Ximen Huixiao. Damn it!" When Wang Fugui heard the story, he felt the same and gritted his teeth and said, "The Ximen tiger is roaring like a dog, it is worse than a beast. It's really hateful." In his heart, Su Yang hated the Ximen family even more, and then asked, "Brother Mugu, such a big thing happened, and your Zhang family is not weak. Didn't you ask the Ximen family for an explanation?" "Went. My grandfather personally went to Kunlun Mountain and questioned Ximen Huixiao in front of Ximen Fenjian, but Ximen Huixiao refused to admit it." Zhang Magu said angrily, "We, the Zhang family, just speculated that my sister was taken away by Ximen Huixiao and occupied her, but there is no evidence in hand, so we can only give it up. Although the Zhang family is on an equal footing with the Ximen family and has the support of major aristocratic families, the Ximen family has developed too fast in the past few decades and has so many masters that they cannot really break up with each other, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. There was no other way. My grandfather had no choice but to return to Fenyang. Although he didn't see the body, my sister must not be alive. Even if Ximen Huixiao didn't kill my sister at that time, he would kill her and silence her afterwards to avoid being blamed." There was a fierce glint in Zhang Magu's eyes, and he said in a deep voice, "I don't have a mother. I grew up with my sister. The relationship between me and my sister is unparalleled. I must avenge this. I know that Ximen Huxiao will participate in the 100 sex martial arts competition. Zhang Magu said coldly, that's why I stay in seclusion and practice hard, just because I want to kill Ximen Huxiao openly in the arena, in front of everyone in the world, and avenge my sister. Good. At this moment, Shi Jushin came over from a distance, looked at Zhang Magu with admiration, and praised, brother, you deserve admiration for avenging your sister. Master Shi. Zhang Magu greeted Shi Jushin politely. Shi Jushin nodded, then said angrily, this Ximen tiger roar is worse than a pig or a dog. He will do whatever it takes to achieve his goal. When he saw me on the same track, he sent someone to kill me last night. The interception was unsuccessful. This bitch didn't dare to fight. He just surrendered and let him escape. Otherwise, I will tear him to pieces with my own hands. Shi Jushin looked at Zhang Magu again, and then said, brother, I remember hearing someone say that you can play the drum 5 times to open the sky, split the earth, cut off the water, flatten the mountain, and annihilate it. A few days ago, you used the last move of annihilation to defeat Buddha Wuji, right? Shi Jushin asked. Yeah, Zhang Magu didn't hide anything. Yes, Wuji is the best in the world, and he has the mighty Dharma. You can actually defeat him, he is very strong. Shi Jushin was full of praise. Young Master Shi is overly rewarded. Wuji is trapped by love. He has not practiced Buddhism for 3 years and his strength has not improved. Even if I force him to retreat, there is nothing to show off. Zhang Magu was not proud, but said, besides, I only narrowly won that day. If there was no 3-year gap period, I would definitely not be Fosa Wuji's opponent. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 495. Makes sense. Shi Jushin did not deny it, and then said, you didn't choose to advance, just to try your luck in the Easter match and meet Ximen Huxiao, right? Yes, when mentioning Ximen Huxiao, Zhang Magu gritted his teeth and said, he must die. Good. However, there are 8 tracks in the Easter race, and you may not necessarily encounter the Ximen tiger roar. Shi Jushin changed his tone and smiled softly, but I have some connections, I can use my hands and feet to put you and Ximen Huxiao on the same track. Really? Zhang Magu said gratefully, in that case, thank you Mr. Shi. You're welcome. Shi Jushin smiled, then looked at Su Yang next to him, and continued, if you want to thank me, just thank my cousin. If I hadn't seen you talking to my cousin, I wouldn't bother to care about these things. Cousin. This man is actually Taishan Shi Jushin's cousin? Zhang Magu was slightly surprised, but he still clasped his fists politely, thank you, Mr. Su. Brother Mugu, you're welcome Su Yang said, you had such a good chat with young Master Wang and even allowed him to advance. We should be the ones thanking you. No. Zhang Magu said quickly, Brother Fugui is well deserved. He gives me a feeling of palpitations and is difficult to deal with. My goal is Ximen Tiger Roar, so naturally I don't want to lose both sides. Besides, Brother Fugui and I are both talented people in the music industry. I play the drums and he plays the suana. If we form a group, we will definitely stop it. When Su Yang heard this, he said with a dark face, stop talking, I beg you. Now that I hear the words talent in the music industry, my head hurts. Damn, Mr. Su, that's because you don't know how to appreciate it. Brother Mugu, don't pay attention to him. Come on, let's go to the side and talk about the combination in detail. Wang Fugui took Zhang Magu and walked to the other side. The more they talked, the more excited they became, dancing excitedly. If it didn't affect the rest of the game, they would have to play a song. Cousin, your friend named Wang Fugui is okay, he is actually a cultivator. At this time, Shi Jushin looked at Su Yang with a smile and said curiously, Do you think it's strange? Wang Fugui's information has been passed on to me. He was from an ordinary background. He was a playboy a month ago. How come he suddenly changed? You have become a cultivator, cousin, do you know what's going on? Ha ha. Su Yang met Shijushin's gaze and smiled softly, cousin, don't test me. I didn't intend to hide it from you, but I just didn't have time to say it. Yes, I am a cultivator, and I passed on Wang Fugui's cultivation techniques to him. Ha ha ha. When Shijushin heard this, he couldn't help laughing and said, okay, cousin, I just don't think you are as ordinary as you appear. That's true. As a descendant of Suwazi, how could he not be able to cultivate? Su Yang frowned slightly and asked doubtfully, first cousin, how do you know my identity? According to the information Su Yang received, only a few people in the ancient martial arts world know that the Jiangbei Su family was the former Kunlun Su family. The old poisoner deep in the clouds knew about this and had gone to Jiangbei to poison his father. However, afterwards, the old poisonous man was forced to retreat by the Su family's remaining foundation. In addition, he probably wanted to monopolize the cultivation technique, so he did not leak the matter, otherwise it would attract more people to covet him. In this way, there is no chance. Apart from old poison, only a few people who were mentioned by the old Wudang sect leader should know about it. For example, Zhang's Honggaiwa from Yaoang Palace and Qinchangxiu from Jufeng Mountain should not be known to others. Haha, cousin, not only I know, but my grandfather also knows, but don't worry, we will keep it a secret, Shijushin whispered. Su Yang nodded, feeling a little confused as to what Shihan, the master of Mount Tai, meant. Now that he knows the origin of the Su family, why did he come to ask for cultivation techniques and why did he keep it a secret? Does he still care about blood and family ties? Cousin, can you tell me what level you are in? Compared with Wang Fugui, who is stronger and who is weaker at this moment, Shijushin asked curiously. Su Yang stopped thinking about it and responded with a slight smile, he and I are at the same level, but I should be stronger. Is that so? Then when I looked at your strength before, why was it that you were only a low-level ancient warrior? Shijushin asked in confusion. It's just a disguise. Su Yang continued, I can use some tricks now to obliterate the middle stage Shenzong, eldest cousin. You have to be careful in the next game. If you meet me, I will not show mercy. Haha, yes, yes. Shijushin was happy from the bottom of his heart and said with a smile, originally, I thought I could easily win the first place, but seeing so many geniuses appearing in this year's 100 sex martial arts competition, especially Wang Ye from the Tianji sect, to be honest, I feel a little confused. But, cousin, it's better now. You are so strong, we have more hope. Shijushin put his hand on Su Yang's shoulder and said with a smile, if you can win the championship, my grandfather will definitely recognize you. The release of Ant Yuyan will be just around the corner. Su Yang didn't want to continue this topic, so he smiled softly and said nothing more. Shijushin could also see that there was a gap between his cousin and his grandfather, so he didn't say anything more. Then, he squatted down and looked at Su Yuyu beside him, opened his arms and smiled softly, my good niece, come here, let your cousin hug you. Su Yuyu threw herself into Shijushin's arms, and then said with a sweet smile, cousin, you were so powerful just now. You scared the bad guys away before you even made a move. As for the question of cousin uncle, I reviewed it and found out that I made a mistake. It should be called cousin uncle. I will give you a hint and I will correct it below. Haha, that's natural. My cousin is invincible, okay. This is still the beginning. In fact, my cousin only used a little bit of his strength. Shijushin enjoyed being praised by his little niece. He felt a little carried away and began to brag about himself. Tch, It's far behind my father, Suyuyo muttered in a low voice. My good niece, what did you say? Aha, cousin, I said you are so awesome. You are so great. If you were in kindergarten, the teacher would give you little red flowers. Seeing Shijushin and Suyuyo talking and laughing, Su-yang also showed a smile. But soon, his eyes fell on the middle arena, because the competition on the 5th track was over and the contestants on the 6th track had already begun to enter. Is it my turn? Su-yang raised the corners of his mouth with a playful smile, then jumped onto the ring and stood calmly in the middle. Su-yang was not famous. There were so many geniuses from famous mountains in the ancient martial arts world that no one would notice him at all. So, when he got on the ring, there was no movement from the audience below, but one person caused a sensation. This person is the top talent from Mount Ime, Zhao's Hiruo. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 496. At this moment, a woman wearing a light blue fairy dress with wide sleeves stood in the center of the ring. She is tall, has waterfall-like hair, and has a snow-white face with standard melon seeds, which is stunning. The woman is holding a long sword. The scabbard is white and exudes an icy chill. She is the most powerful genius of Mount Ime, Zhao's Hiruo. In terms of appearance, Zhao's Hiruo is not inferior to Qian Shangxiu and Lan Miaoai. There are many people who admire her in the ancient martial arts world, but no one cares about her. Because the sect that Zhao's Hiruo belongs to is a Taoist temple, Ime Taoist temple. To be precise, if Zhao's Hiruo is a nun who practices Buddhism, she will convert to Taoism sooner or later. Naturally, no one will have any thoughts about a Taoist nun. But Zhao's Hiruo is so beautiful, and she said that not only is she good looking, her martial arts talent is astonishing, and she can rival the top geniuses. Especially the Ime swordsmanship is unparalleled in ancient and modern times. Even the old temple master of Ime Taoist temple is full of praise. At this moment, Zhao's Hiruo stood tall and graceful in the center of the ring. The power exuding from his body was heart-stopping. There were so many contestants on the stage, but no one dared to come within 3 steps of her. Ime Taoist Temple, Zhao's Hiruo. I saw the list yesterday. Alas, there is no hope of advancement. The first place on track 6 is none other than Zhao's Hiruo. Go away, you are at the top level of Tian Zone. Even without Zhao's Hiruo, you would not be able to advance. Haha, I have long heard that Zhao's Hiruo is a man who can conquer a country and conquer a city, and when I see him today, he is indeed worthy of his reputation. You can watch Zhao's Hiruo from such a close distance. Even if you are knocked off the ring, you will have no regrets. It's such a pity that such a beautiful woman came from the Ime Taoist temple. What a waste of natural resources. Brother, you still have a chance. It is said that Zhao's Hiruo leads the practice and has not yet become an official disciple of Ime Taoist temple. How about you show off and kill everyone to arouse Zhao's Hiruo's admiration? Maybe she will refuse to convert to Taoism and follow you. Getting married and having children. Damn it, big brother, don't talk nonsense. Who doesn't know that the old temple master of Ime Taoist temple is a master who kills without blinking an eye? He supervises Zhao's Hiruo very strictly and doesn't even allow men's eyes to stay on Zhao's Hiruo. 10 seconds, if the teacher hears what you said, I will be dead. Don't even look at Zhao's Hiruo. Teacher Tai's eyes are sweeping over. Please behave yourself, otherwise the end will be tragic. When everyone at the scene was talking about it, they suddenly noticed a cold breath coming from the high seat. They were so frightened that they immediately closed their eyes and lowered their heads honestly. As for Su Yang, he was like a little transparent from beginning to end, standing in the corner without anyone paying attention. Zhao's Hiruo. At this time, Su Yang looked at Zhao's Hiruo, looked at her carefully, and said with a smile, "Yes, Shenzong's early stage, the body's true energy is powerful. There are 2 early Shenzongs in the 6th track, but they are no match for her. If I didn't show up, she would have successfully advanced to the next round. Unfortunately, now she has no chance and can only play in the rematch." Su Yang smiled and shook his head, about to close his eyes. But at this moment, he suddenly noticed that there was a dark brown decorative accessory hanging on the hilt of the longsword in Zhao's Hiruo's hand. This object is very small and pointed, like the top of a tower, covered with mysterious runes. Huh? This is... Su Yang looked at it carefully, and after a moment, there was a touch of ecstasy in his eyes, and he secretly said, "Void Tower, top of the tower." That's right. The decoration on Zhao's Hiruo's sword is the spire of the Void Tower, which is the most critical part. Su Yang never expected that the spire of the Void Tower would be used as a decoration, hanging on such a rubbish long sword. Want to come back? Damn it! Must take it back. Su Yang's eyes were fiery and he stared intently at the long sword in Zhao's Hiruo's hand. But at this moment, Su Yang felt a terrifying gaze staring at him from a high seat in the distance. Su Yang was naturally not afraid and raised his head to meet the other person's gaze. Immediately afterwards, an old nun with an old face and wearing a light grey robe appeared in Su Yang's eyes. The old nun wore a nun's hat and held a whisk in her hand, staring at Su Yang with an unkind expression. She is the old temple master of Imei Taoist Temple, the philanthropic master, and her face looks kind and kind. But in fact, her reputation in the ancient martial arts world is exactly the opposite. Her behavior is vicious, and she will destroy the whole family in one strike. Certainly. All the people killed by the charity master were treacherous and evil people. She punished evil and promoted good, and she never showed mercy. Now, the philanthropist looked at Su Yang from afar and was surprised when he saw that Su Yang dared to meet his gaze without any fear. But then, she snorted coldly, ignoring everyone present, and said with a serious face, "Young man, if you compete, you will compete. Please pay attention to your manners and don't look at Hiruo like this, otherwise your eyesight will be in danger." He. When Su Yang heard this, he smiled and said softly, "Master, are you threatening me?" "So what?" Charity Master Tai said coldly with disdain in his eyes. "You don't allow others to see your disciples when they go out." Su Yang raised an eyebrow. "Yes, I am so domineering." Charity Master Tai said coldly, "Who in the ancient martial arts world doesn't know that as long as I am present, no man can stay on Hiruo for more than 10 seconds. What's more, the way you looked at Hiruo just now was full of fire, and you must have had dirty thoughts about Hiruo in your heart." Charity Master Tai said with a sinister look on his face, "I didn't take action against you because of the face of the Taoist master of Tianji section. If you were outside, you would already be a corpse." Fiery. Damn it! I saw the spire of the Void Tower, not because of Zhao's Hiruo. Su Yang was very happy, but until now, he refused to explain, but showed a playful smile. "Master Tai." Su Yang smiled softly and said calmly, "Even if I have thoughts about Zhao's Hiruo, so what? It's normal for a man to love a woman. What's more, your apprentice is so beautiful. What man wouldn't like it? I didn't tease her. I just looked at her and fantasized about it. Isn't that okay? Are you being too lenient?" Su Yang started to challenge. "You, don't talk nonsense." At this moment, Zhao's Hiruo, who had been silent, looked at Su Yang and said with a blushing face. Since she rarely goes out to the mountains, Zhao's Hiruo is as simple as a little lamb who is afraid of society and dare not speak loudly. Today, for the first time, she heard a man say that he had thoughts about her in front of her, which made her overwhelmed. In particular, Su Yang also said that he had fantasies about her, What fantasies? Zhao's Hiruo was shy and very curious, but later she heard Su Yang contradicting his master. She knew the master's methods and was afraid that the master would go on stage to kill someone in anger, so she hurriedly spoke to stop Su Yang. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 497. Hiruo. When Su Yang heard this, he looked at Zhao's Hiruo affectionately and said with a gentle smile, "You know your master is a murderer, and he was worried that she would kill me, so you came to my rescue, right? Thank you, you are so kind to me." Good. Su Yang never suffers. The philanthropic master of Yimei Taoist temple was domineering when he opened his mouth, and later threatened Su Yang. This made Su Yang very unhappy, so he deliberately said these words to irritate Master Charity. "No. It's not." Hearing this, Zhao's Hiruo became extremely nervous. She waved her hands and explained, "Stop talking nonsense. My master has a bad temper. If you talk nonsense again, she will really kill you. How joyful it is to live, and how miserable it is to die." Unexpectedly, when Su Yang heard this, he looked at Zhao's Hiruo and said affectionately, "My fair lady, a gentleman is very jealous. Even if I die today, I will make my love for you public." Zhao's Hiruo, "I like you. You are so beautiful. I fell in love with you at first sight. I really want to have you. Are you willing to be my girlfriend?" Su Yang confessed directly. Ah! Zhao's Hiruo didn't have many opportunities to talk to men. When had she ever encountered such a fight, her face suddenly turned red. Her fingers kept rubbing the hem of her skirt, not knowing what to do. Damn it, who is this guy? He actually dares to tease Zhao's Hiruo in front of the charity master. He doesn't want to live anymore, does he? Zhao's Hiruo rarely shows up. He usually stays in Mount Yimei. Occasionally he is taken out by the philanthropist to participate in various activities. I remember that there was once a genius from a famous mountain. Because he refused to listen to dissuasion, he looked at Zhao's Hiruo a few more times. Now he is cosplaying the blind monk at home. Woolen cloth. Has this guy always been so brave? He's so brave that I'm scared. If nothing else happens, this buddy's family will have a funeral, and today next year will be his Memorial Day. Everyone on and off the stage spoke one after another, looking at Su Yang in excitement and concluding that Su Yang would definitely die. This Su Yang actually caused trouble for me. At this time, on the high seat, Qian Shangxiu was always looking at what was happening on the ring, but she was not jealous. Actually, Qian Shangxiu never took his eyes away from Su Yang, always paying attention to Su Yang. Therefore, she saw that Su Yang didn't pay attention to Zhao's Hiruo at all at first. What Su Yang was staring at before was Zhao's Hiruo's sword. It must have been the sword that aroused Su Yang's interest, so Su Yang took a few more heated glances. "You prodigal, die." At this time, the philanthropist couldn't bear it anymore, so he immediately stood up, drew out his sword, and slashed at Su Yang angrily. But at this moment, Qian Shangxiu also stood up, his slender fingers constantly changing. In an instant, the temperature dropped to freezing point, and an ice flower condensed in her hand. Boom! The next moment, ice flowers flew out, directly dispersing Charity Shitai's sword energy. A terrifying battle aftermath instantly spread around. Fortunately, the two came into contact in mid-air and did not affect the audience in the audience. Charity Shitai saw Qian Shangxiu blocking his sword energy, and frowned. "Qian Shangxiu, what do you mean?" "Master Tai, this is the 100 sex martial arts competition. Isn't it inappropriate for you to act rashly?" Qian Shangxiu smiled and responded in a neither humble nor overbearing manner. Snort. Charity Master Tai said angrily, "This boy is so bold that he teases Hiruo in public. He deserves to die." "Ha ha, Master, Su Yang is my husband-in-law. He is just unforgiving and doesn't mean anything malicious. You must have angered him because of your arrogance before, so he said these words to irritate you. After saying that, Qian Shangxiu looked at Su Yang and smiled softly. Su Yang, is that so? Haha, you are indeed my wife. Su Yang met Qian Shangxiu's gaze, smiled, and said, this old nun is so annoying. She's like guarding against thieves. She started threatening me without doing anything. Master Su. Suddenly, Master Charity noticed something and said in surprise, Qian Shangxiu, did you just say that he is your husband-in-law? Qian Shangxiu, I am giving you face in order to maintain the rules of the 100-sex martial arts competition. At this time, the philanthropist Tai snorted coldly, sat down, and said, since this kid has such a relationship with you, I will spare him once. If the philanthropist is too unwilling to give in, she doesn't mind choosing to go to war with Mount Imei in order to protect Su Yang. No need. That's natural. Snored. It's true. Lan Miaoi personally admitted it. There can't be any lies. Buddha Wuji and Ximen Lonjian, these two top geniuses came forward for this and wanted to teach Su Yang a lesson, but they were killed by Su Yang's protector. Force back. Buzz. That's it? Good. Master, this old nun has serious murderous intentions for you, I'll kill her. At this time, Ari's soul in the audience sent a message. Your information is out of date. Su Yang is not simple. He has a super powerful protector by his side. Last night at Chunguang Tower, he said in public that he wanted to fuck the Warren, but he actually slept with Lan Miaoi. Su Yang showed a smile and said playfully, how about we make a bet? Qian Shangxiu's words caused a huge sensation, and because of this, Su Yang instantly became the focus of the audience. Qian Shangxiu smiled, nodded slightly, and then sat down. Zhiruo, during the next competition, don't show mercy. Use the sword in your hand to kill this person. Charity Master Tai looked at Qian Shangxiu and sneered, wait on the stage, no matter what happens, you are not allowed to interfere, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Zhao Zhiruo knew Su Yang's name from Qian Shangxiu's words. She blushed and gritted her teeth and said, I don't want to do this either, but it's hard to disobey the teacher's orders. Polite. As soon as these words came out, the scene exploded instantly, and everyone was shocked. Fuck, Nan Shui and Bei Lan, two beauties from the ancient martial arts world, are all in the bag, and now they are teasing Zhao Zhiruo in public. Su Yang, this thief. What the hell is this Su Yang, haven't you heard of it before? Fuck, it's so exciting, But for some reason, she felt a little embarrassed in her heart and was unwilling to follow her master's orders. Qian Shangxiu did not hide anything and said in public, Su Yang is my husband-in-law, the father of Yu and Zheng. Su Yang shook his head, stopped Ali, then looked at Zhao Zhiruo, and said with a smile, Miss Zhiruo, will you listen to your master and kill me? Master Tai, you have heard it? Sometimes speaking more politely can reduce a lot of unnecessary disputes. Qian Shangxiu smiled, but there was no weakness in his tone. He is just a youngster, I need to be polite to him. I've long heard that Qian Shangxiu from Jufeng Mountain gave birth to a child out of wedlock, but I didn't expect that his husband-in-law turned out to be trash. Yes, master. After hearing master's order, Zhao Zhiruo clasped her fists respectfully. I also heard that Qian Shangxiu also went to Chunguang Tower. Not only did he not blame Su Yang, but he also left with Su Yang. It is estimated that the two of them were having sex and doing things inappropriate for children. I'm sorry, you are deceiving people. How is this possible? Who is Lan Miaoi? There are so many talented people pursuing her. How could Su Yang succeed? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 498. Bet. Hearing this, Zhao Ziruo's pretty face revealed a touch of curiosity, and she asked warily, "What are you betting on?" "I bet you will be merciful to me." Su Yang smiled softly, while looking at Zhao Ziruo with gentle eyes. Zhao Ziruo met Su Yang's gaze and immediately felt the heat in Su Yang's expression, and her face turned red. At this moment, Zhao Ziruo felt extremely nervous, as if a deer was bumping around. Her breathing was a little rapid, and her face was so red that it looked like she could squeeze blood. After a pause for a few seconds, Zhao Ziruo reacted, carefully raised his head and glanced at the master, only to find an angry expression on Mrs. Charity's face. Zhao Ziruo's face changed with fright, and she immediately said, "No, Mr. Su, absolutely not. On the stage, you and I will do our best, and no one should be merciful. But I think you can." Su Yang said with a smile on his face, "Miss Ziruo, it's settled. I bet you will show mercy to me, but you bet you won't. Since you are betting, you have to get some luck, otherwise it will be boring." Su Yang's eyes were on Zhao Ziruo's sword, and he smiled playfully, "Miss Ziruo, this sword of yours must have been with you for many years, right?" "Yes, it is." Like a frightened little sheep, Zhao Ziruo responded truthfully, "This is our Ime treasure. I have been wearing it since I was 5 years old. I really envy this sword. I can be with Miss Ziruo all the time. If I could choose, I would rather become this sword, so that I can stay with Miss Ziruo forever." Su Yang said sincerely. Said. "You." Zhao Ziruo's face turned red, she kept biting her red lips, and said shyly, "Don't talk to me anymore, I don't want to chat with you." "But I can't help it." Su Yang said affectionately, "Miss Ziruo, I fell in love with you at first sight. I couldn't restrain my love for you at all. I just want to see you and hear your voice. I." Faced with such a straightforward and enthusiastic expression of love, Zhao Ziruo was so excited that she didn't know what to say. "Miss Ziruo." Seeing this, Su Yang smiled lightly and returned to the topic, "Since this sword is so important to you, let's use the sword as a bet. I believe I will definitely win, and I don't want to take away your sword. I just want to get your belongings as a souvenir." Su Yang said his purpose, "What do you think? There is an accessory on the hilt of your sword. It is small and pointed. I think this small object is quite interesting. Let's use it as a bet." "Can't." Zhao Ziruo refused directly and said seriously, "This thing has been hanging on the lotus sword. Although I don't know its use, it must not be used as a bet." "Haha, Miss Ziruo, you know you will lose before you even bet." Su Yang stared at Zhao Ziruo and said with a playful smile, "If you say so, Miss Ziruo, you will really show mercy to me. Even if you have the chance, you won't have the heart to kill me." "Haha, it seems that Miss Ziruo has me in her heart." "No, no, no, I didn't." Zhao Ziruo was ashamed and waved her hands quickly. Su Yang asked back, "Then why don't you dare to gamble?" "I." Zhao Ziruo was about to say something, when the charity master on the high seat said coldly, "Ziruo, bet with him." After Qian Shangxiu was briefly surprised, he smiled and said, "I didn't want to say that, but the philanthropist said it a bit too much. I have learned bad things from you. I never said such things before. Absolutely impossible." "Are you talking about the small model that looks like a spire?" Qian Shangxiu asked doubtfully. "Ziruo is my disciple. She has been taught by me since she was a child and has never dared to disobey my orders. Therefore, if you lose, I will let her pierce your heart with a sword." Everyone present, including the big shots on high seats, all looked at each other in confusion. "Come on, Su Yang, tell me what you are planning. Are you really attracted to Zhao Ziruo?" Qian Shangxiu sounded slightly unhappy. Su Yang smiled and said, "There is an ornament on Zhao Ziruo's sword, which is very important to me, otherwise I would not have done this." The philanthropist said angrily, "Huh, Qian Shangxiu, you are the leader of the alliance, but you can't even take care of your own husband. This is a great shame and humiliation." Su Yang. This Su Yang, how virtuous and capable he is, can actually have a wife like Qian Shangxiu. There is a very strong protector behind Su Yang, and his background must be astonishing, otherwise Jufeng Mountain would never allow Qian Shangxiu to have a relationship with him. At this time, the philanthropic master's face was as dark as water, and he said angrily, "You, Meng Lang's disciple, are simply looking for death. You." "Haha, yes, yes, there is a future," Su Yang praised again. Master Tai, I can't manage it well, but at least I have a husband-in-law. Unlike some people, I have never experienced the feeling of having a husband-in-law in my life," Qian Shangxiu replied. As soon as these words came out, before Su Yang could speak, Qian Shangxiu smiled and said, "What you said is too absolute. Maybe your disciple is really moved by the heart." Charity Master Tai smiled coldly and said, "Humph, you prodigal son, you are teasing my disciple in public and challenging my bottom line. You deserve to die." At this time, Su Yang transmitted the sound through his soul, and the voice sounded directly in Qian Shangxiu's mind, and added, "Shuer, don't be surprised, it's just a sound transmission, don't speak, I can hear what you are thinking in your heart." Qian Shangxiu smoothed the hair in front of her forehead and smiled softly, "If my man succeeds, it means he has the ability. I didn't choose the wrong person. It's actually quite good to have an extra little sister. You know, I have been the leader of the alliance for a while, and I like the feeling of being surrounded by everyone. There are not many sisters in the family, so I am really not used to it." "Yes, master. Shuer, if you fight against that old nun, you are simply invincible, ha ha ha." "Master Tai. What's going on?" The philanthropist naturally knew that some of the people Qian Shangxiu was talking about were referring to her. A group of people started talking, and their attention shifted to Su Yang's background. This made the philanthropist so angry that he had no shame in discussing this topic with Qian Shangxiu in front of so many people, so he shut his mouth and said no more. "Cow wow, cow wow. Qian Shangxiu is such a good wife, the ideal woman, so stunning, I really want to marry her home. Shuer, don't you know me yet? I'm not the kind of person who falls in love with everyone I meet." Following the master's order, Zhao's Hiruo didn't hesitate at all. He immediately saluted with his sword and agreed to the bet with Su Yang. The philanthropist said with certainty, then looked at Qian Shangxiu and sneered, "Qian Shangxiu, since Su Yang is your husband-in-law, you just sit back and watch while he molests other women in public. How can it be? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 499. Okay, are you sure about this bet? Yes, don't worry. No more chatting. The game is about to start. Su Yang smiled and then recovered his mind. Actually, Su Yang was not sure whether Zhao's Hiruo would be merciful, but with Ali present, wouldn't he be sure? You know, Ari is a nine-tailed ghost fox, and her best skill is the art of charm. When the time comes, as long as Ali makes some small plans in the audience, Zhao's Hiruo won't obediently obey the command. But this kind of control will cause certain damage to the soul, and it will make you very tired within 3 days at least. So Su Yang told Ali that only with his orders can he use the charm technique to control Zhao's Hiruo's body. After arranging all this, Su Yang stood in the corner and waited quietly for the game to start. The difference from before is that Su Yang was a little transparent before, but now he attracts much attention. At this time, on the high seat, Snort. Shi Hehan, the leader of Mount Tai, glanced at Su Yang, with strong disdain on his face, and said seriously, "They can only talk sweet words. The Su family is really worse than the last generation. Although Su Shenbing has a bad mouth, he also has real knowledge. This Su Yang is better. He is slippery, half-hearted, and his realm is only that of Tianzong. He is a waste. The dignified Su Wuzi actually has such a descendant. If he knew about this, I'm afraid the coffin boards wouldn't be able to hold it down." "Brother Shi, do you know Su Yang?" Wang Konggyun, the leader of the Tianji sect next to him, asked curiously. Although Shi Hehan just complained in his heart, his expression was very disdainful, so Wang Konggyun asked such a question. "No." Shi Hehan didn't hide anything, stroking his beard and said, "Speaking of which, he is related to me by blood and is my grandson." "Grandson?" Ximen Fenjian, the ancestor of the Ximen family, heard this and narrowed his eyes slightly with a smile. "As we all know, you only have one daughter, Shi Yuyan. More than 20 years ago, the remnants of the Su family participated in the 100 sex martial arts competition and took Shi Yuyan away." Ximen Fenjian frowned and said, "Su Yang's surname is Su, Shi Hehan, could he be the son of the remnant of the Su family more than 20 years ago?" "Haha, brother Fenjian, you made a mistake." Wang Konggyun smiled and explained, "We at Tianji sect are very concerned about the descendants of the Su family. Because before my master left Wuodang, he left a letter and told me to give it to the descendants of the Su family. So, I have always been paying attention to things about Shi Yuyan, trying to find the descendants of the Su family and send letters, but I have never been able to find anything." Wang Konggyun continued, "About 5 years ago, news came that Shi Yuyan was abandoned by the descendants of the Su family and became an ordinary person. She even gave up on herself and married an ordinary family in Jiangbei. It seemed that she also had the surname Su. A pair of children were born. Several big shots at the scene were very concerned about the Su family's affairs, and they obviously knew about it. If not, they would have sent people to the Su family in Jiangbei to ask about the cultivation techniques. That's true." Shi Hehan did not deny it. "He. Ximen Fenjian sneered, "This news came out 5 years ago. As far as I know, Shi Hehan brought his daughter back to the place of Zen 5 years ago and imprisoned her. I have also investigated and found out that Su Yang's father is named Su Shenbing. Judging from his body shape and appearance, he looks very much like a remnant of the Su family back then." Ximen Fenjian looked at Shi Hehan and said with a playful smile, "I always feel that Su Yang is the son of Shi Yuyan and the remnant of the Su family, and Su Shenbing is the remnant. If this is true, Shi Hehan, in order to save the Jiangbei Su family, you deliberately arranged the story that Shi Yuyan gave up on herself and found someone else. It is understandable." Ximen Fenjian continued, "Both of them have the surname Su. They are about the same age and have similar body shapes. How can there be such a coincidence? Shi Hehan, am I right?" Snort. Ximen Fenjian, "What the hell are you farting?" Shi Hehan said angrily, "I wish that all the people in the Su family in Jiangbei would die, so why would I bother to arrange a story? If Yuyan hadn't forced her to die, I would have destroyed the Su family in Jiangbei with my own hands 5 years ago." "Haha, do you believe it when you say this?" Ximen Fenjian sneered. "If you don't believe it, you can kill him. Send people to Jiangbei now to destroy the Su family. I will never stop you. I will go, but not now." Ximen Fenjian smiled softly and said, "The Jiangbei Su family has long entered my field of vision. I have personally investigated that Su Yang's father, Su Shenbing, for some reason, only has the Huajin realm. And when the remnant of the Su family participated in the 100 sex martial arts competition, I was present. He did not cultivate, but used Genkai. He must be an ancient warrior close to the Shen zone. After more than 10 years, he became Huajin. It is true. Unbelievable." Ximen Fenjiun said with a playful smile. In addition, the Su family has a land martial god. I was afraid of disturbing the situation, so I didn't act rashly. Something happened in Chunguang Tower last night. I have heard about it. This protector of Su Yang is a little girl. She is most likely the land warrior god. Girl Furong, the only land warrior goddess left in the Su family, is an expert at disguise. Maybe the little girl next to Su Yang is that girl Furong. Another point is that Wang Fugui, who was previously at the 9th level of Qi training, came from an ordinary family, but suddenly started practicing cultivation, and he is Su Yang's best friend. Ximen Fenjiun chuckled softly and said, haha, combining all the factors, I can definitely conclude that Su Yang is a remnant of the Su family and possesses cultivation skills. This year's 100 sex martial arts competition will be even more interesting. After listening to Ximen Fenjiun's analysis, several big shots at the scene felt that Su Yang was a descendant of Su Wuji, and they were eager to look at Su Yang with ill intentions. The 100 sex martial arts competition is still in progress. According to the rules, no one can disrupt the situation. At this time, the burly old man in the third seat from the left said, Ximen Fenjiun, if you are interested in the descendants of the Su family, you can do it after the 100 sex martial arts competition. During the competition, if you break the rules, don't blame me for being rude. This burly old man looks to be over 70 years old, but the muscles on his body are not slack at all and are still strong and powerful. Behind him, there is a large animal skin drum, which is very similar to Zhang Mu's drum. This person is Zhang Magu's grandfather, Zhang Tianli, an old man with a bad temper. Haha, Zhang Tianli, there are so many people here. It's not just me who has thoughts about Su Yang. Why did you just remind me? Ximen Fenjiun smiled playfully and said, could it be that you are still worried about my Ximen family because of what happened to your granddaughter 2 years ago? Didn't I tell you that my grandson Ximen Huxiao didn't kill your granddaughter, he just injured her? Ximen Fenjiun sneered, your granddaughter is not as skilled as others, so she was injured. As for her disappearance, haha, it has nothing to do with my Ximen family. Snort. Zhang Tianli didn't bother to say anything and just said coldly, Ximen Fenjiun, just laugh. I hope you can still laugh when you see Ximen Huxiao die on the ring. Everyone, stop arguing, the game is about to begin. Let's take a look at Su Yang's strength first. If he is a cultivator, we can confirm his identity as a descendant of the Su family. At this moment, Wan Konggyun smoothed things over, and then everyone's eyes fell on the middle arena. At the same time, the time has come, and all the contestants in the 6th track, except those who automatically abstained, are in the middle stage. The battle is about to break out. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 500. Because of what Su Yang had done before, the contestants in the arena were very afraid of him. The moment the game started, everyone's eyes fell on Su Yang. This is true both on and off stage. Among them, Zhao's Hiruo was naturally included. Su Yang ignored the others, but met Zhao's Hiruo's gaze, and said with a playful smile, Mrs. Hiruo, I know I am handsome, but I will be embarrassed if you look at me so nakedly. I'm not looking at you. Zhao's Hiruo's face instantly turned red and she turned her head hastily, but out of the corner of her eye she couldn't help but peek at Su Yang curiously. As a result, she found that Su Yang was still looking at her, which made Zhao's Hiruo extremely shy, and she gritted her teeth and said, why do you keep looking at me? I don't. You read. Oh, you looked at me too, let's make it even. Su Yang smiled softly. Zhao's Hiruo always maintained her original posture, facing the other side, and said with a blushing face, I told you I wasn't looking at you. If you don't look at me, how do you know I'm looking at you? Su Yang asked. Zhao's Hiruo was stunned when she heard this, her face was so red that she could squeeze blood. Ha. At this time, Wang Fuegui in the audience laughed and said, "Young Master Su, you are awesome. You can seduce the most beautiful woman in a game. I admire you. Mrs. Hiruo, please stop struggling. Young Master Su is my eldest brother. His ability in this area is very strong. I can see this for all. You can rest assured and obey young Master Su Wangfu," he said with a noble smile. When Zhao's Hiruo heard this, she lowered her head shyly, wishing she could find a crack in the ground and crawl in. Hiruo. At this time, the philanthropist couldn't sit still and said angrily, "What are you waiting for? Why don't you kill him?" "Yes, master." Zhao's Hiruo hurriedly cupped her fists, and then without any thought, she held the lotus sword and stabbed Su Yang directly. "Damn it, this little bitch is a master's daughter. She listens too much to her master's words." "Young Master Su, you have to be careful," Wang Fuegui hurriedly reminded her. It's okay. It's normal for couples to fight and fight. Don't worry, Hiruo's wife won't hurt me." Su Yang sang harmony with Wang Fuegui, and then used so far to avoid Zhao's Hiruo's attack. This movement is so powerful. Did he disappear in an instant? With this identity alone, he is invincible. It seems that this Su Yang must come from a terrifying hidden sect, and we can't afford to offend him. It is said that there are 10 ancient tribes in China. They do not occupy famous mountains, amass wealth, or seek false fame. They hide among the mountains and rivers all the year round and are not familiar with worldly affairs. Those ancient tribes are so powerful that they can even be found in the place of Zen, between the mountains and the sea, among the clouds and mists. No famous mountain like this in the depths can compete with it. I've heard about it too, but people from the top 10 ancient tribes haven't shown up for hundreds of years. I thought it was just a legend, but now it seems to be true. Su Yang should be from the ancient tribe. When a group of people saw Su Yang taking action, they immediately started talking. The contestants on the ring looked even more ugly and had complicated expressions. They didn't know whether they should take action against Su Yang. Zhao's Hiruo failed to hit the target with one blow, so she picked up the lotus sword and rushed over again. Su Yang didn't fight back, he just used the distance to dodge. Other contestants at the scene also started fighting, but no one took action against Su Yang. In this way, more than 10 minutes passed, and the fighting in the ring continued. However, more than half of the contestants in the 6th track have been knocked off the stage. Among the remaining 5 or 6 people, one is in the early stage of Shen zone, and the rest are at the peak of Tian zone. Have to say, among these people, the one with the strongest strength on the surface is Zhao's Hiruo, who has already entered the middle stage of Shen zone. In addition, she owns the Lotus Flower Sword, a valuable treasure from Mount Imei, and her swordsmanship is superb. Su Yang, on the other hand, had not really made a move yet, but just jumped to avoid it, so Zhao's Hiruo naturally became the strongest opponent in the eyes of the remaining contestants. Everyone, at this point, we have dealt with all the miscellaneous fish. We can discuss the next game. Zhao's Hiruo from Mount Imei has superb swordsmanship. She is in the middle stage of the Shen section. This kind of strength can be called a top genius. Without her, none of us can even hope to advance. Su Yang is not a small character. He has been in a stalemate with Zhao's Hiruo for so long. He must be very strong. Speaking of Su Yang, judging from his cynical look, he must have only practiced body skills, right? It's possible, otherwise he would have beaten Zhao's Hiruo and teased her by the way. Then how about we defeat Zhao's Hiruo first, and then deal with Su Yang? Someone suggested this, and then, the remaining people all looked at Zhao's Hiruo with unkind expressions. After the words fell, Zhao's Hiruo held the lotus sword and strode towards the contestants. Boom! But who would have expected that at the critical moment, Su Yang suddenly appeared, hugged Zhao's Hiruo from the front, and blocked the attacks of several people with his back. In an instant, all the damage fell on Su Yang, and the real energy was raging on the scene. Master Su, Zhao's hero has gone too far to bully others. We are here to help you. It's good now. Su Yang has been hit with so much damage that even a Shenzone master can't withstand it. Su Yang showed a forced smile and said weakly, if you give me another chance to choose, I will do it again. Mrs. Hiruo, for the rest of my life, I may not be able to accompany you. You have to do it yourself, okay? Don't miss me, just treat me as an ordinary visitor in your life. The contestants who took action all took a step back when they saw this scene, their expressions a little ugly. Big trouble. But snapped. Mrs. Hiruo, I like you, I don't want to see you get hurt, cough. They had already guessed Su Yang's identity and did not dare to attack Su Yang harshly for fear of retaliation. Zhao's hero burst into tears. At the same time, she didn't know why, but she felt very uncomfortable when she thought of losing Su Yang. Master Su. Zhao's hero's heart tightened and she wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. Unless she jumped off the ring, there was no way to retreat. Boom. Broken. You must pay the price with blood. The others followed closely behind, using their special moves without giving Zhao's hero a chance to react. Zhao's hero couldn't help crying when she saw Su Yang was on the verge of death. Then, she stared fiercely at the contestants who took action, with a fierce look in her eyes. Not good. Ah. Mrs. Hero, I would rather die than let you be harmed in the slightest. Love is blind. I am in the middle stage of Shenzone. Even if I take it, I will not die. Why are you so stupid? Puff. If he jumped off the ring, it would be equivalent to admitting defeat. Zhao's hero shouldered a heavy responsibility and had high hopes from his master. He would never admit defeat, so he gritted his teeth and planned to accept the attacks of these people at the cost of serious injuries. One of the women, holding a fiery red whip, took the lead and the whip fell in the air, exuding terrifying power. Su Yang was exhaling more and less inhaling. As he spoke, he spat out another mouthful of blood and turned pale. Even if Su Yang is not from an ancient tribe, he still has guardians who are in the realm of land martial gods. They really don't dare to mess with him. Nowadays. By the time she came to her senses, attacks from several people had already arrived. At this time, Zhao's hero was squatting on the ground, holding the dying Su Yang, crying like a raindrop, why did you block it for me, why? Zhao's hero had been unable to hit Su Yang, and was getting angry from embarrassment. He was so focused on figuring out the rules of Su Yang's movement that he didn't notice that he had become the target of public criticism. The next moment, Su Yang spurted out a mouthful of blood and fell into Zhao's hero's arms, his face pale and dying.